to the Sad Dads Club podcast. Here's everybody's favorite sad dads, Jim and Foo.
Usually a lime chip guy.
Is that because you're a bitch?
Yeah, I am a bitch.
Really? Not a lime?
I don't know what it is.
You eat so much Mexican. That is unorthodox for me to understand.
Okay, when they serve me a plate of tacos,
Yes.
and there's lime on the plate,
Yes.
I don't use it. I never use it. I don't like it.
Really?
Yeah,
Margaritas?
I'm all right with margaritas, limeade, but I don't like lime. I don't want it in my guacamole. I don't want any citrus, lemon, lime.
Holy shit.
No, fuck it. No,
What?
no. It doesn't belong there.
It absolutely
No,
belongs
sir.
there.
And I don't want it in my... I don't
can't
want to
even-
squeeze it on my fucking...
You can't even spell
Tacos?
Mexican without lime.
Sure, there's no L in Mexican.
What? It's a silent L. It's Le Mexican.
No, I just don't... I don't... Doesn't...
Yeah, you just... Yeah.
Even like... even not Mexican. If we're talking about like maybe fish... like a fish fillet or like maybe
Salmon?
maybe if you had like a fried fillet of some kind,
Right.
and they give you sometimes lemon to squeeze on it.
Yeah.
No, I don't like that either.
Jesus.
I like lemonade, but I just don't care for it. There's certain places where it's expected that for some reason you want lime or lemon on it, and I don't. That's just I don't think it goes with the. It's overpowering too overpowering of a flavor for the thing that I'm putting it on.
I'm trying to think of a... Well, how about shrimp taco?
No.
Ooh.
No.
Really?
Yeah, really. I mean, I'll put the lime in the coconut.
I don't know how to I think the lime
loss for words.
I am. I have had a shrimp taco that was made better by just squeezing a pinch of lime. My guacamole is very limited in its ingredients because it's as close to authentic Mexican guacamole as possible, and you can't get around the lime part.
The Mexican the guacamole recipe that I use is a recipe that was given to my mother by friends of ours that was a Mexican family, and they didn't use lime.
Were they actually from Canada though?
No.
Hashtag sorry Canada. Hashtag not a sponsor.
It was when we lived in Southern California in Orange County. And they were the Calderons, very close friends of ours. We camped with them at Yosemite every year for a week.
Yeah.
For years and years. Soccer, like a lot of stuff. We went fishing together all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where the family recipe that we use.
What's in it?
Came from them.
Do you know?
Yeah.
What's in it?
In the guacamole?
Yes.
I use it all the time.
No.
It's got avocado in it. I don't want to give it away now.
Dude.
But it doesn't have lime or lemon in it. And
You can't. Lemon is not Mexican.
That's fine.
Lemon is bitch mode.
It doesn't have any citrus squeeze in it.
People in Florida use lemons in their guacamole. That's how wrong it is.
Whatever. Well, I don't use either.
Everyone at Hallover Inlet uses lemons in their guacamole.
Yeah.
Those punk asses.
They're scared and they're puckering. That's why they're puckering so much.
Well, I got Quint Mercury 450s. Driving the bow into the wake, bitch.
So the guacamole that I use has just got a little sour cream, pepper, and garlic salt. That's it.
Wait. Say it again.
Sour cream.
Sour cream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pepper. Garlic salt.
And avocados.
Yeah. Of course. That's it. Very simple. dead air right there.
Interesting.
Yeah. Remember we did the guac off?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I brought.
Mine was the best, though.
No, mine was.
No, you were confused. Who else made some? Ted make some?
Ted makes some.
Toad made Toad.
Toad.
That works. Fuck it.
Toad makes some.
You know who you are. Toad.
Yeah.
Or did Dina make it?
I don't know.
I would never besmirch Dina.
No.
Toads, I would.
You know what I do remember though? Sadly, that Ted's was brown, and that's a huge turnoff for me.
Sorry. Hashtag sorry, Ted.
I know. As soon as it starts to turn, and that, in my opinion, is one of the only reasons why I would add lime.
Right.
Is to keep it from turning brown.
Right.
But I don't really have much of a problem. I mean, it will turn brown eventually, but we don't usually have a problem with it turning brown.
No, I don't. Yeah. But I use limes. So what's in yours that's preventing the browning?
Awesomeness.
Oh, I consider high doubt there.
Very much awesomeness.
I'd like to see your awesomeness shaker. Is it made from Lawry's? McCormick?
One of them.
It's a big, and you drag your nuts over it and it fills it.
I'm so particular is that I have I mix up the pepper and the garlic salt into one thing in a specific ratio, and it goes on.
I'll be goddamn.
I'm kidding. I don't do that.
Oh,
it's very much to flavor.
Now, okay, so mine has jalapenos, red onions.
You're working too hard.
Guacamole.
You're working way too hard.
Maximum
Wait,
flavor.
you had guacamole to your guacamole?
Yes, avocados, limes, paprika, celery salt.
Way too much stuff.
Chipotle powder.
Yeah. You're
pepper.
working way too hard. You got to let the guacamole, you got to let the avocado be the star. Now, I will say this. No. I will say this. On occasion, and it depends on the avocado. Sometimes, you get avocados that aren't.
Yeah.
The flavor's not quite right, or they're not creamy or whatever.
Right. You don't make some creamy? Limes.
Fucking shut the hell up. You got a lime up your butt.
I've tried that. Feel very nice.
They turn brown.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Well, that browns the guac fast.
What was I saying? I don't even know. Sometimes I'll add, and this sounds super terrible, a little tiny splash just to change the guacamole. If the avocados aren't quite the right flavor,
yeah,
I'll add hot paste pecani sauce, just a little bit, and mix it in.
Oh, like a salsa guac?
Not a bunch. Literally, like maybe a tablespoon of it in the batch.
Yeah,
just one tablespoon, and I'll mix it in. And sometimes that will.
But sometimes you just do right.
Yeah,
you just
because at that point I'm doctoring to kill the decent avocado flavor.
We ended up with I don't know if it was a gift or it was like leftover from some band, like hosting thing. Someone had put together like a Chevy's salsa, so it was like fire roasted salsa. It's been completely like run through a blender,
right?
Like so, not chunky, but Chevy style.
Sure.
It had that look and appearance of the Chevy style, and it had to whoever's the credit of the chef had a label with everything, everything that was on it.
Okay.
Like it was like, here are the ingredients, and then some, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, cool, okay, so I know what's in it, above and beyond. A nice little label and a knitted ball jar kind of thing. Tasted it. It had a little bit of heat, but it was like hot water. It looked like it had tons of flavor, but it was bland. It was bland.
It just had heat, but no real flavor.
There was no, like, it clearly looked like you had roasted some peppers or tomatoes, and it had all kinds of color, but it was
You know why?
no limes for
no,
sure.
I probably had too much lime.
Oh. Shit. Fucking. Anyway.
Do you like...
So I then had to like doctor it, and I was like,
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to tweak it.
Yeah. Do you like ceviche, for instance?
No.
You don't?
I don't really partake in that. My dad likes it. If I'm doing anything like that, no. It's not really my bag.
If you're doing anything like that, no.
No. It's like international man of whatever.
Mystery?
Yeah. If I'm ever drunk, I'm not. And,
right. That
And
makes
if I've
sense.
ever drinking beer,
No.
I hadn't.
And just no.
No.
Huh.
That one time I tight-roped, I wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how we got to that guacamole conversation. What was
I
it?
don't remember either.
I love guacamole.
I love guacamole too.
Yeah.
It goes fast
Yeah.
in my house. It's quite possible that the only reason it goes fast is because that's all my family knows. So I would be curious to make it a different way and see if it would still get consumed.
What I like about the guacamole that we make, and I try guacamole anywhere I can, right? We go out, try their guac or whatever. I'm honestly, most of the time, I'm disappointed.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, for sure. Like
I don't want guacamole that's got a bunch of tomato chunks in them. You know, I'm all right with a little bit of jalapeno.
Oh yeah, and Roma tomatoes.
But I don't want a bunch of I want guacamole because the thing I'm putting it on will have onion or whatever. You know, it'll have the stuff on it.
That's fair because I
want the creaminess of it. And
I
all
would
that.
say then mine is closer to in that naming. Mine is very chunky. It is closer to a guacamole salsa. Minus sauce. Like I have chunks of tomatoes. Yeah. I have chunks of red onions.
I'm not going to not call what you make guacamole. It's definitely guacamole.
Sure, but it is not. Avocado is the main actor, but I have an ensemble cast. Whereas you have like
the avocado's the star for sure. And we're just sort of going, here's a little extra flavor for you.
There's a band in the pit, and maybe they'll play, but really it's the avocado doing a monologue.
Yeah.
You know, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Mine like, hey.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of Muppets here doing a thing.
Speaking of bands, last week.
Helmet.
Shit, yeah, dude.
You went and bought the ticket.
Chandler and I went and saw Helmet. They played right here in Roseville. That is fucking cool.
Yeah.
There's a place here on Vernon called Goldfields. And they got a lot of... I don't know. They got all kinds of stuff going on there as far as music, but they've had a lot of punk bands that I've seen go through there. There's a punk band called DRI. You probably never heard of them.
No.
I'm not a big fan of DRI, but they played a few months ago, and I know people that wanted to go or did go. I'm not even sure. But Helmet came and played last Thursday, and it was Helmet, and the opener was the Cro-Mags, which I'm not a huge fan of the Cro-Mags. They're this kind of New York East Coast band, and I mean, I told my friend Angel, I said, if I leave this show after watching the Cro-Mags and I do not buy a motorcycle immediately, then I have done something wrong. And it was weird because there was a distinct audience changeover practically.
Really? Between
the Cro-Mags playing, which is very unusual, between the Cro-Mags playing and when Helmet played.
Oh, okay.
It was very strange. It was like there was a very biker element to the
Cro-Mags.
Cro-Mags. viewers.
Did you want to borrow my bike? You could do that. If you need help show up to a...
Man, I'll tell you what. I've seen Helmet now like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
They have never disappointed me. And if you are a fan of a band like Helmet,
yeah,
they are so clean and so tight when they play.
Yeah.
It is like you just dropped the needle on one of their albums and they play the song. They don't fuck around. They are playing it.
Yeah.
And they're just so
like
good.
Mid-bridge, like, hey, Roseville.
No.
You get the track as it was recorded, kind of a thing. Nice.
So, for instance, one time I did see him play down in Sacramento at Harlow's, and it was the 25th anniversary of the album they call Betty. Mm-hmm. So, the 25th anniversary of their Betty album. They came out, they didn't even say a word, and it's Paige Hamilton is the main guy from Helmet. They don't say a thing. They just come out, and he starts playing the Betty album from song 1 through the end of this album without even saying a word. They played the entire album front to back and then said something like, hey, we're happy to be here kind of thing, and like introduced the band, and then played a whole nother set of music from their other albums. And it was just amazing.
So what is the length of time for that?
That show, I think, was about an hour and a half or 2 hours, something like that.
Okay.
But man, they're just so good. They sound so good. So impressed by them. If you're a fan of Helmet, don't go see them at what's that big festival they have in Sacramento? The big music festival they have down at the Discovery Park.
I don't know.
Anyway, there's a big music festival, and Helmet often plays that. It's, they always have big headliners there.
Oh, it's like a Sacramento version of like Coachella or something?
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Oh.
And it's a big show.
That's already a big sad.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to spend $100 on a ticket or more for a 1-day ticket when it's a 3-day festival show.
Right.
When I can spend $35 on a ticket and see him in a club. Yeah. That's how you should see him. Impressive. Chandler and I were blown away.
How long was their set at
they probably played about an hour, maybe a little longer than an hour.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, he's a professional, man.
How many people are in Helmet?
It's Paige Hamilton. They got a bassist, another guitarist, and a drummer.
Okay.
And they're I don't know, have you listened to their stuff? Are you familiar with their stuff? They have a lot of really weird off time things in their music.
No. I would, and brutally honest, no. I probably know whatever their hits are.
In the Meantime or something like that.
Yes, but outside that, no.
Watching the drummer and being able to see him really well. Watching the drummer play some of that shit, man, that guy was working.
Really?
And he just fucking nailed it. And it was just they just feel like they just have a polish that some bands don't when they play live.
Yeah.
Very impressive. At one point, he did stop and talk to now I remember this actually from the Betty show. He mentioned he had family here. This was several years. This is several years ago, probably 7 or 8 years ago, easy. And when we were at the show on Thursday, hi, my cousins are here, and they're all, hey, and his nieces and nephew were there in the crowd.
Yeah.
Younger little guys in grade school kind of thing.
Oh.
And he was saying, my uncle passed away.
Oh.
And he started talking about his uncle. He literally almost came to tears. He had to stop and walk away from the mic 2 different times. He couldn't even get through the story he wanted to say. He was that broken up about it.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him. But he's a good dude. If you ever look up, if you know anything about Helmet, they're just a really heavy band. But Paige Hamilton, from my understanding, is he has a doctorate in music.
Oh, okay.
And so he does like soundtrack music and that kind of movies and stuff like that. He's just really smart.
Very talented musician.
Yes.
That also happens to be the front man.
Yeah, and I think on YouTube he does like here's how you play this kind of a thing.
Oh, okay.
He like teaches stuff on YouTube. Really impressive, but man, if you ever get a chance to see him, if you're into that kind of music at all, they're worth your time. They're so good. They're so good. I came out of that show just like, wow, that was insane. Like, I forgot how good they were, you know. So, anyway, really good.
Helmet.
Yeah. Helmet.
Are they new album on tour, or are they just doing it to...
Yeah, they have a new album they're kind of pushing.
Is it good?
I bought the vinyl. I didn't buy it on digital yet. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but the songs they played at the show were really good because they were the only songs I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was like, this must be on the new album.
You ever listen to... I guess we're from music. You ever listen to music that from one of the kids that wasn't your bag, like soup to nuts, just to... Like, Dad, listen to this.
Oh, yeah. What happens for me is, like, when I'm driving Melanie for 10 hours in the car, and then she's got her phone on the CarPlay, and then she is basically the DJ for the drive.
Right.
And so I'll get a lot of her music, but she listens to a lot of stuff. I'm like, oh, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
You know? I had a lot of trouble with when Chandler was going through his... probably because everybody else listened to it, hip hop phase.
Right.
Man, I just there's the current generation, or even when he was like in junior high and stuff, that generation of hip hop stuff.
Yeah. There
is very little appeal to me, and it's not because I didn't try listening to it. It just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
yeah,
you know,
we listened to. Because both Piper and Venus are huge Taylor Swift fans.
Right.
I'm a fan. Certainly, as a business person, I think she is super amazing.
Yeah.
She is a force. The business acumen that her and her handlers, I think it's her family, all help manage her as far as where she puts her name and her branding. Very sophisticated. I have a huge amount of respect for the business direction that
it
she
feels
does.
Thoughtful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Her she has a number of albums that I have, like in songs in my playlist for various activities. And I had when I get to the gym, every once in a while I'm like just looking for something. I like fast stuff, and I don't want it to get repetitive. So every once in a while, I'm kind of just like searching for like a playlist of something, and then I'm just going to hit it, and I'm going to deal with whatever comes. I hit like the Apple Music, whatever the title, like a most rotations or most played playlist, and there were like 3 Taylor Swift songs in like the 15 or 20 that it provided. I'm like, shit, I didn't even know that was a thing, but clearly Tim Cook thinks so. So she is an artist I listen to. So she just had an album come out.
Mm-hmm. It's like the Dead Poet Society.
I make that joke all the time. Troubled Poets Department, something. I butchered it. My wife, hashtag I love my wife. My daughter, if she listens to it, will absolutely correct me when they get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
I listen, like her last album, I actually listened to it because I have enjoyed a number of her other ones. So Piper sat down with me and we listened to she had already listened to it, but she listened to it with me, and we had an amazingly engaging conversation just about like, well, what'd you think of it? If you listen to it, one, she's a very talented writer. She's lyrically she's very talented at whatever her experiences are and being able to translate that into music.
Yeah.
Amazingly talented. The songs that I enjoy from her tend to pull two strings. One is like it's happy, it's poppy, or it's got a good beat, and it just sounds good and clean, and I don't care who's singing it. It just sounds good to my ears, and it makes me feel good. There were the song production in her latest album, lyrics aside, sounds very muddled to me. There's a lot of like 80s synth and 80s influence there, which I like. I like to listen to like retro 80s synth stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But this sounded like a lot of like muffled lyric and massaged like synth tones, so that it was kind of unclean.
You think it was a little overproduced, maybe? Because there's
for
a thing,
me,
right?
For me, it was, and like some of her songs that I enjoy the most are crisp and clean lyrically. Like I can understand what she's saying. Her stuff could be like auto-tuned, and I don't care. But if your lyrics and the song itself is like and it's not, when I know you can do an acoustic guitar or clean guitar kind of things, you lose me. And it was the album as a whole was she was in pain. She was struggling through a relationship loss. So as someone that's not invested in Taylor Swift the person, but just Taylor Swift the musician, it felt like
it was a downer.
It was. To me, it was like, well, I don't necessarily need to. I respect your pain, but I don't need to hear it. It doesn't, I'm glad that hopefully her putting this into pen and paper and then into musics and instruments and vocals helped her deal with her pain. Like, that's awesome. Like, for someone to be able to have that kind of talent and then be like, I'm putting out this for the world so that I can move through my, like, one, not many people can do that.
Yeah.
Two, to be able to do that and deal with the repercussions of someone thinking they understand you just because they're listening to you talk about your pain, that's a whole other thing in and of itself. But for me to be entertained by it, I felt like I was looking at or being exposed to something that I had no business. Like, I don't know you.
So
and
do you
it
think...
felt very intimate without me sharing like that.
So do you think that was an album for the most rabid of Taylor Swift fans then? Because they're going to know, right? If you're a big Taylor Swift fan, you're hanging on what she's doing for breakfast.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I think here's where it was. So Piper really, both Venus and Piper really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily in relationship pain, but I'm sure that they can. Well, hopefully, my wife's not.
Well, what I mean by that is they're going to know if they're fans enough of Taylor Swift, they're going to kind of know, they're paying attention to the things that are happening in her life.
Yeah.
And they'll get it more.
I would agree. Yes, I would say. And even then, if not, they were, because they're invested in Taylor Swift the person, they felt like they were taking like a shoulder.
Yeah.
That they're participating.
There's more understanding of what's happening.
Right, participating in the recovery kind of a thing. Like, I'm glad she shared, like, there was an extra respect on top of just listening to it and enjoying the music.
Yeah.
And plus, it's like a storytelling. The way that she writes her things, for the most part, she's writing about life experiences. So you're kind of, it's like a reality TV show through, exposed through song. Like, you're getting a visual and look into the life of Taylor Swift's relationships through music.
Yeah.
Like, that young lady was in pain. That young lady was going through a recovery, and she felt mad and angry and blah, blah, blah. And now you see why some of those things came out that or she acted that way in that scenario, because she was hurting. I don't care.
Yeah.
But
you just want the good tunes.
Right. But the conversation that I had with Piper was, it was like one of those things where, your music, we almost had like a music theory conversation that there was no right and wrong. It was just like, interesting. Like, how do you think she's able to write about these kind of things and could you imagine like being able to put yourself out there for everyone to, but then what are the repercussions of being that exposed? Like, do you think that has to worry about someone that's like, that happened to me too, and I know exactly what you're feeling because you told me. How crazy is that?
But isn't that the inspiration for a lot of her other music too? And like,
oh sure.
I mean,
in hindsight, a lot of her stuff is all retrospective to the life experiences she's had.
Yeah.
Sometimes not. Sometimes, but
sometimes pop music doesn't have that. Sometimes pop music's just a thing someone developed.
Sure.
And it's a good sounding song.
The thing was, there was, when younger years, you're going through something and, there's where was, I'm trying to think Chico State, a Power Man 5000 song or a Green Day song that's like, I know nothing about the artists, but whatever they're saying, like that actually applies and there's like an emotional attachment. Yeah, you fucking feel it.
Yeah.
Both Piper and Venus are like intimately attached to understanding the lyrics. And in this case, for this album, like it sounds okay. It's very lyrically very advanced, very intimate. Very intimate.
So is that? Are you saying that's a turnoff for you then?
I enjoyed. I listened to the entire album, and through the proxy of how many times my wife and daughter have listened to it, probably 2 or 3 times, soup to nuts. It's a very well put together album. I would not listen to it again on my own.
So there weren't any standout songs on there.
There are. The Post Malone one, Fortnite, is very good. I listened to that multiple times, but the album as a whole, probably not. Now, I have listened to her Reputation album, like soup to nuts, probably more times than a sad dad would care to admit, because it hits. It's entertaining, like fucking bar none. I enjoy the entire thing.
But see, like someone like Post Malone, for me, that is not a draw.
Really?
No, I don't get it. I don't get him.
Really?
I don't understand I forget what song it was he did. I think it was a Pearl Jam cover or something.
Oh, really?
That Chandler sent to me. I forget exactly what song it was or what, but it was like, man, he tortured that song.
Oh, really?
It was brutal for me to listen to. I don't get it.
Really?
I just don't.
He has a handful of tracks that I absolutely are like playlist material, like rinse, repeat. A lot of his Wallflowers or Sunflower. He has a couple things like Spider-Man soundtrack and whatnot that were like, yes. Albums on a whole, no. But he has whatever his hits are, I would listen to. Like he has a number, but I don't go searching for his shit for sure.
Like Chandler loves Post Malone. I mean, he's probably listening to this right now, but like that's Posty. It's his guy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he'll send me stuff, and I'll listen to it, and I'm like, and I got to tell him like, this is why I don't like it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not shy about it. I don't want to hate on him. I mean, obviously he's in the position.
Yeah,
he's in the position he's in for a reason.
Yeah,
I just don't get it.
there is I've had that. There's a guy, Leo. He does like
DiCaprio?
Metal covers of like just about
Oh.
every song you can think of.
Yeah.
And he's done
Like a TikTok kind of thing?
No, he just does covers.
Oh.
Like I think that's all his
as
stuff.
an artist.
Yeah, as an artist, he just metals
Anything.
anything.
Okay.
Like Britney Spears, fucking Europe,
Okay.
wiggle songs. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
actually really interesting.
He'll metal anything.
Okay.
He has like a handful of like a Wham or Britney Spears songs. And Africa, Toto, like to me are like I will put that shit in my veins. I think he did like the Stranger Things cover, the Up the Hill or whatever it fucking was called, that went real popular. He did a cover of that. I thought it absolutely jammed, and Piper, who is a fan of the original track and the mix,
She's
and
like,
Stranger,
no.
she's like, not so much. I'm like, okay, what about this one? Like the Wham or the Careless Whisper.
Yeah.
I'm like, Careless Whisper in a metal thing? Fuck. It absolutely it fucking rips. Everyone else in the house? No.
See, I there are times where I like that disparity between genres where someone's taking some genre and making it something
And
else.
twisting it a little bit.
I do enjoy that at times. But man, I don't know what it is about Post Malone. Holy mackerel. Why?
None of it. Really?
Yeah, there's something in his. It's not he. Man, I don't know. It's something in his voice I just don't care much for. It's like he's trying, but not quite getting there.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like fingernails on a chalkboard a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you almost did it, buddy. You know what I mean?
You almost got there.
Yeah, and it's a frustrating experience to listen to that, to know how good, number one, if you're doing a cover, to know how good the original was.
Right.
And then you're not quite getting there.
Right.
To elevate the song. You're not doing anything to make it better.
Buddy, there's nothing in Pro Tools that's going to make this work.
He's in his position for a reason.
Yeah.
I don't have to understand or whatever. He's not my bag, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's the head tats.
Yeah. That is a thing.
Yeah.
That is a thing. There my wife had sent a TikTok and it was this girl face tats, like this like devil thing on her bottom of her neck right here.
Yeah.
And she's like, so in her TikTok, she's like talking to the camera and she's like, I don't know if it's the tattoos, but like I just interviewed at some clothes retailer that I can't think of the name. And they just told me, even though I had experience, that it wasn't enough, the right experience or something. And of course, the fucking comments were like, "Oh, do you think it's the tattoos and
it perhaps Satan on your fucking Adam's apple?"
I mean, she had tattoos all over her face, and I'm like, I think it was TJ Maxx. I'm pretty sure. And then they're like, "Do you really think TJ Maxx wants you representing
right? And if
TJ
you can't get a TJ Maxx job,
yeah,
scratch Macy's off."
So I struggle with the face tattoo thing. Is it just me?
I endorse all expression, but as someone that has a full-time job,
you have a full-time job that doesn't require your face to really be seen,
right? And even then,
right?
I'd be hard pressed to put ink on my face,
right?
Let alone multiple inks.
Because I always feel like if you're someone who is putting tattoos on your face, you're willing to take the consequences.
Sure.
And maybe you have so much talent that you're sought after for the thing that you do and you get paid, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But in typical normal society, you are gonna struggle, I think.
Yeah, I would think so.
I don't know.
Like, okay.
I don't want to disparage somebody for having face tattoos,
Right.
but
if you can sing and you can do that expressing yourself visually
right.
however you want,
Yeah.
I hope you have a plan for when, imagine if you're Adele
Yeah.
and she
yeah.
has the 1 or 2 albums that did really well, but she had the vocal cord problem,
Yeah.
and that goes away.
Mhm.
So what if you're a singer who doesn't even have a good album, but you're on track to, and you have face tats? Like, how's IT look in that? Like,
That's tough.
I see that a lot with like the content creators.
Yeah.
You're in your late teens, early 20s. You entertain, you play games of various genres, and you are an entertainer, on Twitch or YouTube, pick your thing. But that type of entertainment is very much geared towards fast response, and the older you get, you start aging out of those demographics.
Oh yeah.
Unless you've got something very special. So once you hit, in that area, it's probably close to 25, which is still very young. You're starting to age out of the thing that has made you not have to probably potentially go to college, not work a 9 to 5 normal job ever. So now you're 26, looking for a white collar job, and you're an entertainer.
Yeah.
Digitally.
Right.
So you have no, like, that doesn't translate to Old Navy.
No.
Very little, probably.
Yeah.
Customer service in your face. Yeah, you can't slide cancel a fucking set of jeans, dog.
I mean, you're going to give a heart attack to the 65-year-old lady who's just shopping for her niece or something.
Right. What? Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I was doing a St. Jude's, charity-a-thon, and for $50,000 donation, I tattooed Twitch balls across my forehead, and you guys did it. And now I'm 27, and I have 50 concurrent subscribers, and I have to go to Old Navy with Twitch balls.
And now I've got to GoFundMe for laser removal.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking exactly. Yeah. Help me fund my anti-St. Jude's charity-a-thon tat across my forehead. Like,
that's a tough one.
It is. We were having, this loosely touches at the beginning that was unrecorded. Hey, welcome to Sad Dad's Club Podcast, episode 291. I'm the Lord Fu.
I'm Jim.
45 minutes in.
Oh, damn.
We nailed it.
We're getting good.
Zander's has AP Euro history. We've been going through some review. Last night, we were...
That sounds like a loaded history class.
It's...
Holy shit.
Right.
AP Euro history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were going through some review stuff, and we were talking we would get chunks in, and we were talking about the post World War II, the Marshall Plan, where essentially the United States was giving 10% of our GDP to Europe to help rebuild.
Yeah.
After
we already spent all the money on the bombs.
Right. Right. We were talking about because now it's currently it's easy to take shots at what looks like the laziness of what would be my kids' generation, I do it on my phone, or I'm gonna condense it to like the driver's license things.
Oh yeah.
Like you and I are younger, and everyone above us, it was as soon as you could get your license, you pretty much got your license because you were working.
Yeah.
You needed transportation to work.
Yeah.
Putting money in your pocket to do the things that you wanted.
It was
to
a
do.
catch-22 though, because you had to work because you were you needed to work because you were driving and you were paying for insurance and gas to get to work, to pay for insurance and gas to get to work.
Sure. And there was no freebie stuff. So if you
Sure.
got stuff, and in some cases, my household, Mike's household, I don't know about yours, but I was in a single parent household. I was helping fund, it was the 2-income house. It was helping pay for the transportation, but also if there was stuff left over, I took myself off the table from my dad having to worry about me monetarily. And then
Right.
if I had extra, I was helping compensate with Kelly's gas, or later on down the road, Brett's gas. So as soon as you could work legally, we were working. We were
Yeah.
school and working, and then eventually school had to go the way because you were like, I got bills to pay. I want to do things.
Yep.
The taking shots at like the generation under us, as far as, well, you guys, you're still like slow rolling. You're not worried about driver's license because you're not worried about the
Because
work.
we got DoorDash now.
Right. You don't have to, and it just comes to the house. And so on its face, for some portion of the generation under us, it looks like laziness.
Yeah.
Venus made a really good point last night. She's like, I think it's at least 2 parts. She's like, I think like Piper and Zander's generation, some of those people starting to get into the workforce are now, or it could be lazy because they think everything is like instantaneous, digital.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I just put it on my phone and it comes, right?
Yeah, it just
Like-
shows up.
Like, why would I? I just do it on my.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's like, but I think some of those people starting to, overachievers starting to enter into the workforce or starting to get higher education it's almost self-defeating. I have so many school loans. I have with datas. I want to get into a home. The housing prices, regardless of where you are, I'm not going to take shots at California specifically, are so elevated. Inflation is so elevated. This is a losing battle for me. Like, I am already defeated before I get a fair shot.
Yeah.
And so some of the kids are looking at, like, it's just math. This is just math. An entry-level position over here pays this much. I am trying to go to school. I cannot, in any way, shape, or form, actually afford car insurance, gas money, car payment, rent, water bill, electric bill, broadband bill. Like, it doesn't happen. So you get kids that are like, well, how do I get around that problem? Well, you're starting to find out that they're living at home or doubling up, tripling up, quadrupling up into a rental thing, so that they can make it. So on its face, it looks like, dude, you're like 25 years old and you're living at home. You're fucking so lazy. You're living at home with mom and dad. But the math is like,
Oh yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
I can't live on my own.
Yeah.
So when you're juxtaposing that with some of like the post-World War II stuff, where, and certainly our generation, I felt like, while I started at the bottom, Venus and I were living at Chico as very young adults, making part-time, close to full-time. Between the two of us, we could afford meals. We could afford an apartment in Chico, we could afford car payments, we could afford gas, we could afford car insurance. We were living on our own as young adults with part-time, semi-full-time jobs. And I was doing a commute with tons of gas from Chico to Auburn. So it was not ideal,
Right.
but we were making it work. Your son, my daughter, your daughter could not pull that off without having your son and Nicole having a managed house payment through a family, right?
Right.
If they were to try and pull what they're doing right now in an actual real world situation,
Oh yeah.
they'd be in an apartment.
Oh yeah.
They would not be in a house.
Well, they were in a condo prior to the house. The condo was going to go up in rent when their lease came up.
Probably well into a house payment. If
Oh,
not
it was like
more.
$22 or $300 a month.
Right.
And they are in a house now that's owned by Nicole's parents, and they're getting a decent deal on
Right.
rent. So that's how they're
So
able to be in a house.
Outside of a deal,
Yeah.
Like I said, some of them are fucking lazy, but
yeah.
some of them are doing the math, and it's just like, this is, I'm not getting I would bust my ass, and I would go to school to bust my ass to get a good job, but this is, I'm behind an 8 ball, and that, as a dad,
Yeah.
that's frustrating, because I at least, while I struggled, I could make it work, and Venus and I could make it work.
Yeah.
As a single person, it wouldn't have. But,
I mean, we
but if you had a partner,
Yeah.
or a roommate, you could. Now I don't. It's hard.
let me just say this: I was making very close to minimum wage when we bought our house.
Right. Like there were you could make it work.
Yeah,
But,
you couldn't do that now.
right.
With $20 an hour, you can't afford a $550,000 house with $20 an hour.
No.
That's crazy.
It's yeah.
I was talking about this. We were talking about this pre-show, and I had made a comment about Doritos.
Yeah.
Doritos are $6 a bag now. $6 for a bag of Doritos.
And that bag is probably only half full.
Yeah, and it's probably smaller than it used to be as far as what's inside.
Not super dusted.
No, I just think that's crazy. We don't buy them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay $6 for a bag of Doritos. If they go on sale, I'll shop the sale and I might buy them then.
Yeah.
Sometimes Safeway has the 2 for $5 on Fridays. I'll do that. But I'm not going to spend $6 on one bag of Doritos.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I mean, there's just a lot of things that feel like they're out of whack right now as far as price, cost-wise.
4 or 5 weeks ago, Rayleigh's had like pineapples for $1.50.
Oh.
And I went, holy shit. I think for that week and a half, I think we went back and bought like 2 or 3 pineapples.
Yeah.
But then last week, I'm looking at fruit and they're like $4.50. And I went, well, no.
Yeah, when you look at like grapes and they're like, $3 a pound or something.
Yeah.
So then you buy like not a huge bag of grapes and it's like $1.50, and then you're looking at like $5 or $6 for some grapes. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, I do that with apples. I'm like,
oh yeah.
What are the cosmic
They end up being like $2 a piece.
Yeah, two. I think I set my limit. I'm like, when it's $2.50 a pound, I'm hey.
And 1 apple's a pound?
Yeah.
or whatever.
I'm like, fuck, man. Come on now. Like, I can go and get the Fujis for $1.25 a pound.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are hurt. This hurts. Like, some of this shit.
Yeah.
And, it's, I don't want a free ride for my kids.
Right.
But I do want them to
have an opportunity.
And not necessarily skirt some of the experiences of what it means to tighten your belt and be fiscally smart. Because if you do those things,
Because you're right on the edge.
because you could make it work, but it should
Yeah.
be on the edge. But you could, like, those are important lessons. Like, I don't want those to be missed just because I want them to, I don't want them to struggle.
Yeah.
But those are the lessons help make you better financially. They teach you things. There are lessons to be learned through some struggles, not necessarily pain, but some of those struggles. But to look at the math and then realize, well, why would I even start that?
How can I start?
Here's the number I need to hit,
And I'm so far away.
and
yeah.
it's unobtainium.
I'm thinking about it, like I said, I didn't make much money when we actually bought our house. So some of that made me frugal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even though now I make decent money, like my wife and I together make decent money, that frugality has really persevered,
Mm-hmm.
is still there,
Yeah.
essentially, which I think is interesting. It's like I'm always in this mode of, I don't have any money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't have, I don't have any money. I don't know if I
Yeah.
can spend any money on that. I don't have that money.
Right.
Even though nowadays probably do, you know?
Sure.
And I think that's interesting. I think that's, you come from that you have that situation for so long, you just sort of get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just becomes kind of normal,
Yeah.
But man, I feel bad for today's generation from the standpoint that we're talking about right now. Like,
Sure.
their opportunity to, like, literally, I always heard people say stuff like, "Oh, the American dream is dead," and I was always like, "No, like, it's obtainium. Like, people are buying houses all the time."
Yeah.
But I never really thought about it until just really the last maybe 5 or 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, I really now sort of see what they're talking about from the standpoint of saying the American dream is dead,
Yeah.
because it's not obtainable for most of this younger generation unless you come out of high school, go into a college, graduate with a degree that puts you into a job that pays you well right out of the gate, which that's not what happens to most people.
Right.
That's the only way that's going to happen for you.
Yeah. There's no guarantees there.
And hopefully you don't have a bunch of student loans, because that's normally how people are making it through school too.
Right.
So it's so tough. Like I feel like our generation, sort of like through like my kids' generation, was the first kind of time in American history where we didn't do as good as our parents did.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, I feel like Chandler makes decent money. They're living in a house. They're getting help, but they're living in a house. We have help.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It is a different beast right now for sure.
Sure.
But it is, I think, buying homes,
But certainly,
because that's what everybody wants to do.
Chandler's almost like an outlier, though. See, it's like Chandler compared to Melly.
Yeah.
Chandler is in the place that he's in, certainly because he also has Nicole as like a partner.
Right.
But Chandler has opted to full-time employment.
Right.
So he has an income that helps him on the path that he's at, regardless if he's getting help or not. So he is making money.
Yeah.
Melly, with an education, could not say, well, I've completed my education. Now I'm ready to do the thing Chandler is doing.
Right.
Like she's even though they're both progressing as far as taking in experiences and things that will make them better in the workforce.
Right.
Chandler's already there.
Yeah.
Melly has not yet. So she has no guarantees. So she doesn't.
Sure.
She won't be able to take all of her experiences and retrofit that to, well, now I want to do what my brother's been doing. I would like to get to that path. How do I get there? And Chandler's going to be like, yeah, but by the time you're ready for full-time employment, I've already been here for 5-8 years.
Yeah.
I've already been, so.
But she'll come out of the gate earning, in theory.
In theory.
With a doctorate, right? She'll come out of the gate earning money.
Right.
She'll
still
sort
a
of
dice
like,
roll.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. It's sort of one of those. Audiologist is sort of there aren't enough of them kind of a job.
Oh, so she'll have a supply demand working in her favor.
She should have that. She was told by her place where she just left her internship, "Do you really have to go? Can't we just hire you right now?"
Right.
So,
and
there
right,
is some
but
of that.
she will have the debt that Chandler doesn't have.
Sure.
So she, right. So you pick a.
She bought a house.
Yes.
She already bought the house.
Your house comes in a nice framed thing, and it says diploma on it. You know.
Right.
Yeah. Terrible tent. But hopefully, so you can see, even though, like, I don't know how Piper is going to do it. Like, she's doing all the things that you would like, but there is no way she could pull off what Venus and I did without jettisoning credits, like courses at school, so that she could start picking up a full-time job somewhere to, like, and that distracts from what her actual professional goals are. So it becomes, man.
It feels like the ability to leap from. So what everyone like talks about minimum wage being this like, well, no one can make a living on minimum wage. Well, I don't really look at like jobs that pay minimum wage as career jobs. That's not my mental representation of those. You're
not going to retire at a McDonald's burger flipper.
Well, what I mean by that is, you don't go work at Taco Bell or McDonald's and then be like, I've made it.
Right.
That's a starting job. Mm-hmm. That's a job you get, to like earn money for school things, like while you're in high school, or people are doing career things with jobs like that. Don't get me wrong, but I've never viewed a restaurant job, Taco Bell, McDonald's, those kind of places
where you don't own the
grocery store of, back in the day, video rental shop.
Yeah. You're not a lifer.
Yeah. Those aren't places where you're going to hunker down and be like, this is it for me. Unless you're the owner of the place.
Sure. Right. Right. You're the proprietor.
Or you're getting paid big money to manage the place.
Sure.
Those are start-off jobs.
Yeah. Transitionatory.
But what it seems like we're lacking now is these start-off jobs don't lead to a leap into the next step, right?
Yeah.
Like, because that's what it was for me. Like, I worked at the Pizzeria Classico for 5 years or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to school at the same time. Did I ever finish? No, I didn't. Okay. I didn't finish, but I got a job at a photography studio in Sacramento. I leapt into my career, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And did I get paid a lot of money? No, but it was now I'm working on the career experience, right? You got to pay your dues. That's sort of how I always looked at it. I leapt from my start job, or the third start job, because, those are like throwaway jobs. You get one and you decide you don't like it, you move somewhere else. I leapt out of that into a thing that was going to help further my career at some point.
Right.
Where that takes you, you don't know.
Right.
And then from there, ended up in computer software. So it's like you just never know how you're going to get there, but it feels like those sort of things don't happen as often as they used to.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, that's sort of how I always saw it happening for people who...
I think a lot of that has to do with because those gaps are so big.
Yeah.
Some people are just...
They don't feel like it's obtainable.
Right. Okay.
I can't leap that far.
I can't leap that far, so I'm going to stay over here doing school. School. That's my focus. Yeah, I've got a transitionary thing that's helped paying for my books, but I'm doing school because whatever would come after flipping a burger still isn't going to cut it. So I have to hedge all my bets on the degree. And and you get the degree, and that's still who wants a dude who loves to do things for science? How well does that pay? You're like, how long do you wait for someone to pay you what you're worth?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll keep flipping burgers while I look for something because I need to move out. And okay, man, an internship that pays half. Okay,
I can't do that.
They want a degree, but it's no. Okay, so you flipping like okay.
You flip the burgers because you know that thing's not going to pay your bills.
Right. God damn it! Like when,
Yeah.
And now, hello. Yes. The house payment, student loans. Are you in school anymore? No, I got my degree. Ooh, congratulations. Also. It's time. Daddy government needs to get paid for them student lisms.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's tough, man. And Melly has worked. It's not like she hasn't had a job. She's worked several summers for when she was home at the Bead and Crystal shop. And that's a place that I would say is a start job. That's the kind of work that is.
Yeah.
She doesn't own it. She doesn't manage it. It's not her place. She's just an employee.
Yeah. It's a place to put in good time.
You're getting some money.
Right.
You're meeting people. You're getting experience.
Yeah.
That's what those are about. Work experience. That's a big one. But like, she's in a position, it's harder for her because she's in a position where the grad school basically told them, you can't work. It's not even an option. Don't get a job while you're in this program.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they could because they're in an accelerated program. The way that program works,
she's moved around so much. There'd be no way you could actually try and hold down a full-time employment.
No,
and she moves states.
She's already in Portland.
Yeah,
so she was home for a week from San Rafael, and then last Friday, her and Melly and Shan drove up to Portland, and she's already in Portland again. Took and passed her big giant test. Did I tell you about that?
No.
So
that was like when she landed, pretty much, wasn't it?
It was on Monday. So she moved into her and her roommate moved into their Airbnb up in Portland. Shan drove up with her, helped her get settled, and then flew home on Saturday. On Monday, she had they call their didactic test, which is all of the stuff you've learned through the program to date testing.
Yeah.
On Monday. And then, by the way, after the test is over, you got 4 hours of class. So that's how she started back at school for the next 4 weeks, and then she'll come home for her externship. So in about 4 weeks, we'll all go up and literally move all of her stuff home. Like she has stuff in a storage unit, we'll move it all back, and then we'll find a storage unit here because we don't have room in our house.
Chandler's old room.
Oh no, I have to get my shit in there for my office that's been set up for my office. I have to do that.
Before she gets back?
No, that's the purpose of that room is not storage for people.
Oh, okay.
That's
Dad's room.
That is supposed to be my office. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why I painted it. Blah, blah, blah. yada, yada. And it just hasn't happened
Oh,
because stuff got...
you need to do that before they get squatted in.
Oh, it's already... That's what I'm saying.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Come on, Dad.
One of them is a love seat that isn't mine, is just in there.
You need to put some skeet on that love seat and then come and get it. Dad, what happened here? Oh, well, this is my office, and you know what Dad does in his office? I'm a skeet flinger.
Yeah. So I need to get out of... I need to go in and have... I need an office space.
Yeah.
An area for me to work. But that's, that's tough. She's got a tough... It was a tough situation for her.
Yeah.
But also, she's doing a doctorate program in 3 years instead of 4.
Yeah.
Get to earning money sooner than later.
Yeah.
Graduate.
Start participating in the great American dream.
Right.
Right.
Right. So anyway, I agree, though. It's tough. It is much harder now than it used to be. When homes...
And I can't fix it. It's just it's one
nobody
of those,
can.
Yeah, it's out of hands, sad dad hands. Like it's
There's just like a pervasive greed, I feel like, that's happening right now.
Yeah.
It literally has seeped into our entire
American culture.
Yes, culture.
Hmm.
It's tough.
Yeah.
More so than I can recall any other time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it.
Yeah. Zander asked me, because we were tying up, we were at the end. So it's AP Euro, and they were covering post-World War II stuff. And he had
I'm kind of jealous.
Just gotten to the part pretty much where they were talking about how Gorbachev was starting to relax some of the oppressive Russian policies on the Soviet bloc there before the Berlin Wall fell.
Yep.
And he said, do you remember the news of when Russia collapsed and became the Federation? And I went, I remember hearing about it because it was 91. I said, I remember hearing about it, but I was sophomore in high school, living in Grass Valley, no real internet. I said, so it was something that I recall catching on the news as Dad and Mom had listened to it on the news, but and my bias was like Russia, U.S., fuck them Russians kind of thing. So it was like Gorbachev, fancy name, birthmark on his head. Russia collapsed. Ha ha ha! Fucking Russians.
Right.
And that was it. I'm like, I wasn't. I had no skin in the game. I really wasn't paying attention. I said, in hindsight, now, man, that was
huge.
That was huge.
Yeah.
2, the amount that he was trying to, that Gorbachev was trying to walk back Russian policies to stave off the Russian collapse.
Perestroika.
Yes. Glasnost and perestroika.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff that he was trying to walk back without admitting that Russia fucked up in an attempt to not have Russia collapse. Man, there was that guy was never going to win.
How did he not get killed?
I don't even know how he ended.
I think that they just let him retire.
Russia collapsed and he just often because then you ended up with Medvedev and Putin slowly rotating until you just get Putin. I'm like the difference between then me and now me is, and relative to you, I said, is the internet.
Yeah.
I said, but the double-edged sword there is that now there is so much information that you have to worry and be concerned about biased or misinformation mingled in with the actual events of the day. I said, so there is young me who just has headlines with an American bias in the news, who has no real exposure because there's no real global exposure in the country. There's no internet. Now you have all the information you could possibly ever want, but it is a tossed salad with bullshit and bias and facts. Who won there?
I know we're getting close to being done. There's a series on Netflix called Turning Point, and I think it's called something to the effect of it's something about the Cold War. It's a whole series. Fucking fantastic.
Really?
Yes, it's from essentially World War II and the end of World War II all the way up through Ukraine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. You should sit and watch it with your son.
Yeah, I probably will.
Especially if he's doing
What's
Euro AP history. Turning Point.
Turning Point.
The something about Cold War.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple turning points. There's one about terrorism, and there's one about the Cold War. Look that one up.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very, very, very informative.
Yeah.
I could not believe some of the stuff I saw in that show. Blew my mind. I couldn't believe it.
Okay.
Look it up and watch it. Very, very good.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
And especially if he's taking Euro history, AP history, it's going to cover a shit ton of all that stuff.
Okay.
And it's like, it goes deep, man. It goes real deep.
I have, and I'm sure nobody's perfect, but I'm
perfect.
I missed in reviewing what he's doing, specifically on the Cold War. There is an amount of respect that I just kind of hand waved off for Gorbachev's attempt to pull Russia out of a dive. Regardless, I'm not a fan of communism. I'm not necessarily a fan of Russia, but as a man in a political position trying to prevent his people's collapse, as someone who shows up at the 11th hour, I missed that boat, and I was glad to be like reviewing it with Zander, because it's like, well, this is new to me because I hadn't ever circled back. Yeah. But it's fascinating.
I just looked it up. Turning Point: The Bomb in the Cold War.
Okay.
Fascinating show.
Netflix?
Several. It's a series.
Okay.
Very well put together. I learned a lot.
Okay.
And it's relevant to what he is doing right now.
I'll put it on the list because he's got at least probably 2 weeks left before that quiz. His AP test is next week, but the quiz on the Cold War unit, I think it comes after it. So
start watching it tonight.
Yeah. Okay.
Because each show is fairly long.
Well, not tonight.
You might be able to get 2.
I may watch it and then be like, hey.
Dude, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
I highly recommend it.
On that note, you should return the cart.
Wash your ass.
Wash your hands.
Check your oil, Tony.
Stay up to date on your shots.
Make the call if you need it.
Register to vote.
Pick up a broom.
And do the kindness. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.